quite unfortunate for him and his team members, it is only just beginning, because as it stands now, investigative journalist Anas Arimiyahu Anas has petitioned CHRAJ over the matter of conflict of interest regarding the finance minister. His position, and of course the fact that he also has companies that we're told may have benefited some way, somehow from government, contracts as well. So let's take a look at that quickly. We'll come back and discuss.
While the ministry statement contends that the minister and his deputies have no hand at all in the selection of companies, Regulation 169 of LI 2378, Public Financial Management Regulation 2019, gives him and his deputies the power and authority to approve all companies in the sector. Ken Ofori-Atta and his Minister of State, therefore, approved their own data bank and Black Star brokerage. Tiger Eye also observed that Regulation 165 of the LI gives the minister the power to sell government securities. There has been a sale of government securities to Data Bank for onward sale. Ken Ofori-Atta, as minister, sells the securities to his own former bank, Data Bank, where he still holds a significant percentage of shares despite resigning from his official positions. Would this not amount to conflict of interest, contrary to Article 284 of the 1992 Constitution? As a country, how do we ensure that we enact relevant laws to prevent coming finance ministers with financial institutions from using their position to assist their own firms or friends? According to Ken Ofori-Atta in Parliament, his company Data Bank has made 151 million Ghana cedis, while his Minister of State, Charles Edubuahin's Black Star brokerage, has raked in millions of cedis. Should these companies not be made to account for the millions they've accrued as a result of the conflict of interest and abuse of office issues? Again, can a minister just dip his hand into the consolidated fund and withdraw money without parliamentary approval?
All right, and so that is the latest with regards to the matter of conflict of interest against the finance minister and his former, well, not his former deputy, because he was eventually became the Minister of State in charge of finance. And not too long ago, he was let go by the president after he was also found in their NAS investigative piece. And so at this moment, the only one who is at post with this matter of conflict of interest is the current finance minister. Now, NAS says he has to go and the CHRAJ will have to investigate this matter. This will be the first time, however, that the finance minister is being accused of conflict of interest, and in fact, have had to answer to CHRAJ. Back in 2017, NDC's Yabroja Jemfi also submitted a complaint to CHRAJ, alleging that the minister had not complied with Article 284 of the 92 Constitution on conflict of interest. And that matter eventually, CHRAJ said there was no wrongdoing with regards to the matter of conflict of interest. But we're back here again. And it's quite worrying, is it not, for the NPP at this point when we're expecting budget to be read, a new year should start soon, and we should know where we're headed as a country. But the finance minister keeps getting bombarded with all these accusations left, right, center. You don't think that at this point he should have stepped aside so that we focus more on these other very relevant matters as he also deals with his?
Bella, we can't sacrifice democracy for personal interests or some other interest ever. We are in a democracy. We have agreed to practice such. And if you have a function to perform and there is this suit here and there and committees set with you, it is just proper that you go through these particular processes, and you must not be distracted by the functions that you have been asked to perform. So for me, these are constitutional processes that every citizen is allowed to take on. And as the finance minister, I like his composure, that he is able to stand all these issues that comes to him and still go ahead to perform as a finance minister.
You don't
on
think
Thursday,
that he's overburdened with too much at the moment and he should step aside?
But it looks like he's having some mitigation measures against that. He has those shock absorbers.
You are sure of that?
You wouldn't have. Look at the way he appeared before the committee. He responded to all the points on the motion that was raised.
Not all of them, because 2 of them were struck out anyway.
Yeah, because it was strikeout. He had the confidence and everything to have gone through that. As we said, Thursday, he'll be reading the budget. It means that the budget will be read on Thursday.
The majority MPs say that if he's going to read the budget, they're going to boycott Parliament.
Yes,
so
but
as it stands now, we don't even know.
all the same, what is very important is that the budget will be read on Thursday. And he is the finance minister, meaning that he prepares the budget, meaning that he has not been distracted, even though he had to stop certain things and go into have other functions in order to defend himself. This is not the first time he has been to CHRAJ, like we have said. He went to CHRAJ in 2017, and then some decisions were taken. And I believe that he still have that strength to go to CHRAJ and still defend himself. If allegations that have been leveled against him has been properly put before him. And I believe in the confidence of the finance minister in terms of how he defends himself. He's not the kind of person that will throw himself just out like that. And distractions is not something that will take him off.
Okay, but is he guilty of this accusation of conflict of interest? Because over time, I mean, we've had the minority, we've had other people also come out constantly to claim that his company has benefited from government contracts. And per the law, once you assume a public position like he has assumed, your company should not even have any contribution or any form of benefit from government at all. How is that this constantly comes up?
Bella, if I'm to sit here and say he's guilty, it means that I've assumed the role of CHRAJ because he has been petitioned. It is only CHRAJ that is supposed to say whether there is conflict of interest issues that arises from what has been said. With regards to his company, ever since he has become a finance minister, whether he should benefit from something or not, I don't think lawyer is here if there is any law that says that if you are a public officer and there is something that is being advertised and there is a company that you have ever worked in before and it is bidding for that, it should be stopped. Unless, of course, maybe the company is not Ghanaian. You get the point. So if a company that he has ever belongs to, because he has made it as a public knowledge that he did resign from the company before taking up his appointment as finance minister. And if anything untoward should happen or should be put before or against him, I believe that the laws of Ghana will deal with that.
Is his name not still listed as a shareholder?
He has indicated severally that he did abandon his role at Data Bank, and he has since assumed the role as finance minister.
So he doesn't own 11% of shares of Data Bank at the moment? I can't confirm
any of that because he has said it severally that he did recuse himself before going on to
But you should be concerned about that. You're the Deputy General Secretary of the party that he belongs to and the same party that is in power at the moment. I mean, this constantly keeps coming up. Bella, you're saying you cannot confirm necessarily. As a party, should you not be concerned?
I am saying that he did recuse himself. And this is not the first time he went to CHRAJ on the same matter. Adongo went to CHRAJ with respect to conflict of interest. The same Data Bank. He went in there and then came out very clean. So
it wasn't Adongo, it was actually Broja. Yeah, Broja
fine. Yes, he went in there and he came out very clean. It was the same conflict of interest. Whether he had shares and all that, he went and then everything was over. And today he's been sent back to CHRAJ again. I don't think that this is something that he should worry himself all about because we have a very important event ahead of us, which is the budget that is going to be read.
Okay.
And I believe in his confidence. And if the laws of Ghana will catch up with him, that is if he has not been able to defend himself properly. And I believe in his confidence and resolve to defend himself.
Bernard, he says he doesn't think that the minister should worry himself about this. This is not the first time he's been accused of this. What do you say?
That is where my surprise comes from. As a member of the political party that Ken Ofori-Atta belongs to, and the political party appointed him as a minister, you should be interested in the deals and non-deals of the person you have appointed. You should be interested as a political party that you are not putting up thieves for public positions and that their continuous stay in office has a very heavy implications for your political party, first before the implications it has for the nation. So to say that no, you are not worried about it, you are not concerned about it, I am not sure that that should be what political parties should do. Political parties must first do a proper interrogation and investigations of the backgrounds of the people that you want to put up to occupy public spaces. And when you have not thoroughly done that, it will be prudent to say that, look, probably there is much more work to be done because these revelations are coming up. Ken Ofori-Atta is not the only minister in government. For his name to come up severally on these issues of conflict of interest, conflict of duties, and what have you, should not just be something that you should just gloss over and say that, look, the man is confident. Thieves are confident. Armed robbers are confident.
You're not saying in this case that he is.
I'm saying that thieves are confident.
Okay.
Armed robbers are confident because they have to be confident in the game that they are involved in. And so to the extent that you are a confident liar, does not mean that you are not a liar. To the extent that you engage in non-sequitur, look, they ask you a question, you divert it and give a response that does not directly answer the question. And then that is your answer, and we cannot force you whether it is your answer or not. Does not make you a smart person. We are talking about issues, and if you listen to, even as I disagree with the motion of censure, if you listen to a question that was asked, that look, you are engaged in this, one of your own has been dismissed. Don't you think it's time to go? You are talking about the man's father being the first flag bearer of the new patriotic party and having, quote, broken the culture of silence, and the father, Edu Buahin, did a lot for this nation, and that is why we are beneficiaries of the Fourth Republic, which in itself is a lie. So lying in those circumstances, and so because your father probably, let's assume that your father broke the culture of silence. That means that when you become a thief, when you commit a crime, we should say because your father did this and this and this, we should not take you to task. That is the man you are calling a confident man. Look, I don't know where you sit, but where I sit, investor confidence continue to wane. And you should be worried about that. Investors, businessmen are waiting to see what programs, what projects, what is the new design that is going to be captured in the 2023 budget that will inform their line of businesses and line of investments. They are holding on. For the first...
Out what, if the finance minister would go?
No. The budget statement that normally will be presented before the 15th of November is yet to be presented. As to whether Ken Ofori-Atta is going to be the one to present it or not, and if he's going to be the one, what will be the ramification, what will be the response of Parliament and even the investor community, is something that we should all be worried about. All these questions have not been answered. And then this one man, he has been there, Isaac Adongo that I know. He said that, look, Ken Ofori-Atta is a candidate for imprisonment. But he finds it difficult under the current circumstances to take this man to court.
How so?
Adongo has said so.
I mean, that's his allegation. So
that is what he has said.
Yeah.
That is what he has said. And so he has so many things against Ken Ofori-Atta, but he thinks that this is not the time to take it to court. Because he is not. And you see, perception matters. That he is not confident that the courts will deliver what he thinks they should deliver. So he's holding on. So Adongo has not been to CHRAJ with anything.
No, but he corrected himself. I mean, we did mention that.
That is one. Number two, Charles Edu Buahin has been removed. If you see the litany of things that are coming up against him, that are yet to be verified, the issue of Death Traco Plus, the issue of the customs village and what have you, and all these things are going to spring up. You know, in my language, they say that it is when the frog dies that you can measure its full length. You understand? So at this time, when Charles Edubwane is not there, then the floor is open for people now to say, the man was involved in this, the man was involved in this. Why is Ken Ofori-Atta holding on and putting pressure on everybody?
Because the president says that he's the one leading the IMF negotiations. He has to read the budget.
And that
so
makes nonsense of the Ghanaian intelligence. One person does not lead a nation. The enterprise called Ghana will continue to live. In fact, it lives on even after the death of Kwame Nkrumah, because it's Ghana. It has lived on after the death of Atta Mills and Rawlings. It is Ghana. So whether Ken Ofori-Atta is here or not, Ghana will continue to live and will continue to deal with its sovereignty with international organizations. So it is not Ken Ofori-Atta. It is the country Ghana that the IMF is dealing with. So for anyone to sit at any corner to pontificate that the absence of Ken Ofori-Atta would not lead to an IMF closure will belittle yourselves. And I'm saying that, look, under any circumstances, if you don't believe in something, you don't do it. Ken Ofori-Atta is behaving like a Muslim who says that I don't eat pork, but take pork soup. Because Ken Ofori-Atta doesn't believe in the efficacy and potency of the IMF as a solution to any economic crisis. In fact, Akufo-Addo doesn't believe same.
How do you say Akufo-Addo doesn't believe same? He's
President
the one
Akufo-Addo bastardized,
that directed the finance
President
minister.
Akufo-Addo bastardized his predecessor for taking this country to an IMF program. Despite that he came and extended the IMF program, don't forget the bastardization. The vice president said that running to the IMF is a mark of failure, and that if you had not failed, you will not be going to the IMF. They said so. Ken Ofori-Atta internally, in order to canvass for e-levy to be passed, said that, look, we are the shining star. We are a proud people. No matter what anybody says, including Harun, IMF will not go.
But his president said go.
His president then come and say that, look, in fact, his president ignored him and asked the Minister for Information to write a letter informing the people of Ghana that he had directed that we should go to IMF, because if he wants to rely on the Minister for Finance and his uninformed stance, Ghana will break into pieces. If you don't believe that IMF is a solution, why are you the one to lead it? That's why I said that he's behaving like a Muslim who doesn't take pork but takes pork soup. You understand? So in such circumstances, Ken Ofori-Atta under no circumstance should be the one to go and lead an IMF project. So for President Akufo-Addo to come and tell us that the man who is a Muslim but wants to eat pork soup should be allowed to continue to be there will tell you that the president has lost it all. And sometimes I ask myself, where did we get it wrong? It cannot be. Look, if you get up, see, MPP elders, Hunt Ofori-Atta, they want him out. They are backing the MPs. Why?
You know, we have quite a fundamental problem if, per the LI 2378 of the Public Finance and Regulations Management Act of 2019, it says that the ministry, which is the Finance Ministry, shall approve primary dealers or bond market specialists and institutions eligible to participate in an auction of government securities from banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions. Now, if this still exists, that means that the finance minister, along with everyone in his ministry who has that right, can decide who, gets to sell the bonds or buy the bonds, who benefits, etc. Should we start looking at changing some of these laws? Because then it takes away...
You see, yesterday, Bella, I was having a discussion with some people about the Constitution. Then I said that the Constitution has no problem.
It doesn't?
The problem that we have is the bad...
2378.
We have bad leaders. Is it not this Constitution that Rawlings worked with? Is it not this Constitution President Kufuor worked with? Atta Mills worked with, John Mahama worked with? Look at the way Akufo-Addo is running the same Constitution. When you are appointing, that's why I'm saying that you have to do investigations on the character of the persons that you want to appoint into certain offices. Because look, when they appoint you into a certain office, it means that you have to hold yourself as a public servant and probably deny yourself of some of the things that will come. Ken Ofori-Atta, as we speak today, his involvement in enterprise has led to the near collapse of SIC. Because state assets that are being insured by the state insurer, today all of them have been taken over by enterprise. You don't call that as a conflict of interest. Because the man does not have integrity. And the MPP failed to do a background check, as confirmed by Haruna.
Is that what he said? He didn't confirm. He just said that per what the finance
because
minister
they are not interested in that.
He
because
had separated himself from all those companies.
No, he's interested in the confidence of the finance minister. Even as he's a confident liar.
He's not owner. He doesn't work with these companies anymore.
Even as he's a confident liar, they believe in his confidence, which he came here to, justify eloquently, that the man is confident. And I'm saying that when you don't look at the integrity of the person that you have put there, and you are looking at fake confidence, we'll end up with the kind of mess that we have.
Okay. Let me bring Lawyer Duji in. What do you make of this new accusation? Well, I won't call it a new accusation because when it comes to conflict of interest, I mean, one of the persons most accused of it is the finance minister. But this new petition by Anas to CHRAJ to investigate this matter, especially at a point when we're expecting that the ad hoc committee sitting on the vote of censure, issue would have investigated that or probed into it, but they said it is not in their jurisdiction to probe into it. Now, CHRAJ will have to look into it. What do you say?
Okay, so, Bella, I'm really, really surprised that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta is still holding on to the position. Bella, I do not know what in God's name he is sitting on. Because you see, everything about Ken Ofori-Atta, his touch on this economy, is the reason why today we are all suffering. The unbridled pain, hardship in the system is attributed to Ken Ofori-Atta and the work of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Look, sometimes in leadership, you'd want to take a decision, not necessarily because you like it, but you take that decision in order to save the collective. And I always cite the biblical example of Jonah. He could have insisted that he wants to be on that ship, and all of them would have drowned. But he jumped, he was forced out, he got swallowed, eventually he saved himself, he saved the ship, and he saved the others. That is what you do in leadership. Look, Liz Truss has given a clear demonstration of that, together with Mr. Kwati, that when the going gets tough, sometimes you must take the fall in order to save the ship. Today,
even if you feel you're not guilty of the accusations?
It is not a question of feeling. Then you are bringing emotions.
Okay.
What is Ken Ofori-Atta's scorecard today? For the first time in the history of this country, we are having to buy a gallon of diesel over 80 Ghana cedis. It's never happened before. We are having to buy...
About what?
No. It used to be 105, but it's come down to 90 or something.
So it's
sorry.
not 80.
It is petrol rather that is 80, sorry. I've corrected myself. These are the realities. And when these numbers come, they don't affect only NDC members. They affect MPP members. So you can say that, look, Mr. President, I want a certain fresh breath of air in your administration. I'm stepping down. Let somebody else steer the ship to the destination. But it appears that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta is sitting on a family wealth that he doesn't want to leave. And I find the petition by Anas Aremiyao Anas timely, and I'll tell you why.
How so?
You see, I represented Broja Jemfi in 2017 at CHRAJ. I was his counsel. At that time, we had gone for the 2.25 billion Franklin Templeton bond.
Yeah.
And there were enterprise group involvement, among other things. So when we went to CHRAJ, CHRAJ made certain recommendations. Among one of the recommendations that CHRAJ did had to do with the Public Financial Management Regulations 2019. If you recall, the Ken bond was in 2017.
17, yeah.
And pursuant to that, we then enacted the Public Financial Management Regulations 2019 LI 2378. Now, what LI 2378 did was to situate the bond issuance of government within a proper, what do I call it, to provide legal backing. And so if you read the regulation 165, the person who decides how much government borrows is the finance ministry. And here it is headed by him.
Yeah.
Who becomes a primary dealer is a decision by the finance minister. Who becomes a bond specialist is a decision by the finance minister. Who becomes a joint book runner is a decision by the finance minister. I've heard MPP members say that Data Bank has been in a, bond market from the time of Adam.
Yeah.
What they never tell us is that Ken Ofori-Atta was not the decision maker. Conflict of interest comes in when you are the decision maker. And that is where, if Ken Ofori-Atta had remained his private businessman and was involved in Ghana's bond issuance, there wouldn't be any issue of conflict. At this point, by reason of law, how much we borrow from the domestic foreign market is decided by him. Now, this is a situation where he engages his own company. That is Data Bank.
Allegedly.
No, it's not an allegation.
Well, until CHRAJ proves
What CHRAJ?
otherwise.
No, the NDC MP for Okankwe North, the Honorable Teresa Awuni, asked Ken Ofori-Atta on the floor of Parliament. And you know when you lie on the floor of Parliament, that's perjury. So Ken Ofori-Atta responded to her on the floor of Parliament and said, yes, in fact, he has employed the services of Data Bank, Black Star Brokerage, IC Securities, APSA, among others.
Yeah.
So the question of he engaging the services of Data Bank is beyond doubt. The Parliamentary Hansard captures it. And the point I am making is that, look, if we want to know the extent of Ken Ofori-Atta's involvement in our bonds, the evidence is there. What are the evidence? Immediately he became a finance minister. He went for the 2.25 billion.
Yeah.
Then the next year, 2018, he now moved into the Eurobond market. The 2.25 was not Eurobond. Even though it's dollar denominated, it was not Eurobond.
Okay.
So he went for 2 billion in 2018, Eurobond. 2019, he did 3 billion Eurobond. Each one of these, his financial company, Data Bank, benefit directly from it. So what other evidence of conflict of interest do you need?
But he said he had forfeited his shares in the company.
So this is where, you see, under the New Companies Act, it is mandatory to do what we call disclosures of beneficial owners. So before Ken Ofori-Atta left Data Bank, you know what he did? He incorporated an offshore company. That is where the catch is.
Okay.
He incorporated an offshore company and offloaded all his shares to these offshore companies. You see where the catch is?
And this you're saying based on facts?
Fact, because the Honorable Isaac Adongo went to, the Registrar General Department and obtained all this. I advised him on a few of this.
Okay.
Because we wanted to be sure. And the only place you can see ownership of companies and shareholding is where? The Registrar General. And we have all those documents.
Okay.
So what we did is that we found out that when he left Data Bank, quote unquote, as director, he did not forfeit his shares.
He did not?
No. he is still the beneficial owner of those shares, the ultimate beneficiary when dividends are disclosed.
Okay.
How are dividends disclosed? When at the end of the day you take your revenue, you do your expenses, that is where you get your...
When did you find all this out?
2019.
2019, okay.
And so, as we speak, he had incorporated a company offshore, and that is even what is more dangerous. So the monies he made don't even stay in Ghana. They go offshore. And if you recall, what Ken Ofori-Atta had been doing is that he had used bonds even for the purposes of managing the Ghana cedi. So every year, he does not less than $2 billion. In fact, what has resulted in the current depreciation of the cedi is that when he presented the budget in 2021, November the 17th, he had already projected that he was going to borrow 37 billion Ghana cedis to balance the budget. Then in February, we were downgraded. By reason of downgrade, he's unable to go to the Eurobond market. Because all this while, we have been artificially, stabilizing the cedi. So at the beginning of the year, we go for Eurobond.
Hold on.
At the beginning
I'll
of
let
the
you speak.
we go. So the point I want to make is this. By reason of the LI 2378, right? Ken is the one who decides who becomes a bond specialist, who becomes a joint book runner, who becomes a primary dealer. How much is borrowed is decided by him.
Okay.
How much you pay by way of commission is decided by him. So Bella, look at the situation where you, Bella, here. You are the one hosting this program. When we are coming as guests, you need to get us water, maybe data for your online program. Then you, Bella, your company is the one that buys the data in order to do live streaming of this program. Your company, once you work with TV3...
Please land for me, okay.
When you do that, then you have put your own interests above that of TV3.
Okay.
And in this case, he had put his personal interests above that of Ghana. And that is why I think that this announced latest... In fact, when we did the Honorable Teresa Awuni did the question on the floor of Parliament, when we did the analysis, do you know that so far, Data Bank has made 159 million Ghana cedis on our bonds?
Based on your calculations?
Yes, on our bonds. So when I hear Ken say, I don't take salaries, if my company had made 159 million Ghana cedis on Ghana's bond, why do I need salaries for?
I'll let you hold on.
But you see,
this.
before, so that, just 30 seconds. Do you know something? Within the bond market, there are two, domestic and foreign. Before Ken became the finance minister, the overall bonds within the Ghana fixed income market that Data Bank controlled was only 100 million Ghana cedis. Today, as we speak, they having become bond market specialists, they are controlling in excess of 3 billion Ghana cedis of our bonds.
Okay.
And when you go to Securities and Exchange Commission... I remember that these
revelations were made by Honorable Adongo at a public lecture.
Yes, when you go to the Securities and Exchange Commission... That information is there? These are all there.
Okay, I'll let you hold on this. And, of course, we have to take a break. When we come back, I want to find out, and there's a reason I asked lawyer when they discovered that he had allegedly opened an offshore account. He says in 2019, where the members of parliament made aware of this before they approved of him as finance minister back in March 2021. When we come back, we'll answer those questions. Keep watching. This is the big issue on TV3 New Day, and we're still discussing the finance minister. Just in case you just tuned in, latest is that investigative journalist Anas Arimiyawa Anas has petitioned CHRAJ over conflict of interest allegations against the finance minister, and CHRAJ is supposed to probe further into this. Of course, by way of how they work, they would have to now forward a notice to the finance minister. He has about 10 days to respond to the allegations that have been made, after which, based on the response, they will now go further, forward it to Anas, the petitioner, and then probe further into the matter. But in the studios, I have Haruna Mohammed. He's the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. Godwin Eduzi Tamaklo is a member of the legal team of the NDC. Of course, he's a lawyer. And Bernard Mona is a former chairman of the PNC. And just to be fair, let me just go back to lawyer to answer this question that I posed to him.
You might
Briefly,
all the time.
briefly, I'll come back to you, please. Briefly.
But I have some response.
Lawyer, this question that I asked, that if we are aware of all these issues of conflicts of interest, and we were aware of these before the new parliament was constituted, and of course thereby meaning that we had to now get new ministers in all the various ministries, Ken Ofori-Atta was reappointed as Minister of Finance. Why is it that the Appointments Committee did not base their rejection on some of these issues and rather went ahead to approve him as Finance Minister?
You see, like I always say, vindication lies in the womb of time. I recall even the first time that Ken Ofori-Atta appeared, the Honorable Alhassan Suhini, it's like he's so prophetic. He saw this and asked the Finance Minister specifically, that Mr. Minister, then nominee, do you have an offshore account? Is your company blah, blah, blah registered offshore or anything? Because you see, you don't want a situation where your finance minister has a company registered offshore where you do not have the benefit of even knowing its tax obligation to this country. The chair of the committee then, Joe Wise, overruled that question today. So he had been vindicated. Because your finance minister makes money from the issuance of our bonds. It goes into a company registered offshore. You do not even have the benefit of knowing how much taxes he pays. Now, your finance minister, whose taxes you cannot, evaluate, what will be his moral authority to even tell citizens to pay? And that is one of the reasons why you saw how we rejected. But back to the issue.
But the chairman, even if he overruled, it says here that the committee by consensus recommended that the House approve the minister.
In fact,
you all had the power to vote as members of the Appointments Committee. Why did they not vote against him?
The point I've made is this. And one, when you look at that proceedings, and we all watched it, when these questions came, the majority there, or majority group, were in position, as it were, to protect him and provide a cover for him.
But your people had the power to vote.
No, but he's the chair of the committee. At the end of the day, a decision was taken.
Consensus.
On the basis of consensus.
Exactly.
No, but it does not take away the fact that these red flags were raised.
They were raised, you were aware of it, you say you had evidence backing these allegations. So the minority side of the Appointments Committee should have voted against him. But it says that by consensus, they recommended that he be approved.
You know, there is a famous word by Napoleon Bonaparte. It said, never distract your adversary, possibly when they are going wrong. Never do.
So you approved him so that eventually you can hit him at all angles with these allegations? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure whether that is the strategy that informed. But I think things have become more clearer today.
Okay.
And before
please land for me so I can bring...
You see, this issue of conflict, when we say, it is not just by, personal vendetta or hatred for the person of Ken. It's for the good of this country. Can you imagine that even when COVID struck and we're dealing with COVID, and government said they were going to provide insurance covers for public health workers, do you know that even the insurance went to the minister's insurance, for which we pay 10 million Ghana cedis insurance premium? I mean, what is this?
Okay, let me bring Haruna in to respond to some of these concerns, especially the issue about the offshore accounts that was allegedly created by the finance minister, just to sort of divert attention as to whether he really had shares in DataBank. Is that really true?
I like the word allegedly, because this is still
well, he says that they're based on facts.
I would rather... You communicate
based on my position, it's an allegation until it is proven.
Yes, it is proven. So that is why I love that word, allegedly. And I don't know, lawyer, you understand that your former finance minister, Dufour, owned Unibank. And Unibank was in charge of the tax collection at GRA.
No, when you say tax collection,
he was a shareholder. No, you understand. He was a shareholder as well, and he was a finance minister. What would have been your position taken this same position today.
Did you raise objections then?
No, I'm just asking him. Because
when did you find this out, and did you raise objections then when they were in power?
The point is that there is laws in this country. If you are in charge of a certain company, like the finance minister was a director in a data bank, by virtue of his appointment to a public service office, he decides to resign, to take the back seat. And he's a lawyer. He knows that it's a corporate body. And a corporate body is separate from the individual.
I just told you that we passed the New Companies Act recently. Situated
but the New Companies Act, in the name of data bank, is different from Ken Ofori-Atta.
No, he's a shareholder. He's not
and
a
I'm
director.
saying that. I am saying
that. He's a shareholder.
And the same as Dufour, a shareholder, not a director in Unibank.
Are we equalizing?
No, I'm just bringing it up to know his position. If he wants to discuss the same way he went on Ken Ofori-Atta, he should be very comfortable to discuss on Dufour if he has taken the same posture as finance minister. Secondly, there were some words that were used by my good brother, like thieves and all that. I don't think that Bernard, thieves. I don't think that Ken Ofori-Atta is an...
But that is why I asked him.
Yes.
To be sure that he wasn't referring to him.
I just want to clear that point. He has not been convicted of such crime, and I don't think that he's a
I don't
thief.
think that anybody at this point mentioned that the finance minister is a thief on this platform,
He mentioned
by the
a point that it looks as if we, as a party, we are not interested in the accusations that are leveled against the finance
minister. Are you interested?
That's what he's saying.
Are you interested?
We have interest, but we are very confident in Ken Ofori-Atta's defending himself in all this process.
You have an interest, so have you decided to also investigate on the side? Because then earlier
like
when I asked you,
before his appointment,
you are basing your confidence in him on the fact that he told you
he can defend himself.
And you said he told you himself at the beginning as a party
that
he
he's
told you
no
that
more
he's
a
no
director.
Did you go beyond
Unibank?
what he said to investigate?
I am saying that he is no more a director at
Is
data
he a
bank.
shareholder?
Whether he's a shareholder, the law should establish if he's a shareholder.
Has he opened an offshore account?
I am not aware of that.
Do you know that?
Are you interested in investigating some of these allegations
the point
as a party?
Those who know, if you know that he opened an offshore account and it is illegal, you have the right to report it to the appropriate agency.
But this is a damning allegation against a senior member of your party. In fact, a senior member of government at the moment. This affects the image of the party in power. You are looking to break the 8. At this point, I don't even know.
Definitely the 8 will be
where you. Are you sure? With all these allegations flying about?
Bella, you will walk to the polls.
Who, me? Are you saying
you see how they insult her? You see how they insult her?
You will walk to the polls.
Can you imagine the confidence with which he believed that you, Bella,
are you saying I will walk to Are you saying I will walk to the polls?
To the polls, smiling.
Yes, you.
Smiling to
go
vote
and
for
Can I be
the
very
MPP?
honest with you? I'm not happy about my economic situation at the moment.
This is now.
This is
At
now.
the moment, yes.
But
do you know what will happen
you
in
think
the...
that I'm going to forget about what I'm feeling now?
So if the movement changes, do you think that you will not be very comfortable?
What are you doing as a government?
You need 200 billion.
Why are you so sounding doom
Haruna,
on everything?
Haruna, what are you doing as a government to change the current situation? That's what we're asking, because over time, if you listen to Ghanaians, they say that they are not even confident that the president is interested in fighting corruption.
You agree with
interested in fighting a lot of these allegations that are
you agree with us that the very person that they say that he's incompetent, he cannot handle the economy, he has brought it to this far, they have forgotten that in this era that we are, we all know that we have a global crisis. And before then, when he took over...
They want to globalize their incompetence.
No, but when we took over from you, you know the growth levels of the economy you handed over. In 2017, 2018, 2019, you saw the performance of the finance minister. Expenditures that you could not even bring on board
bonds
with an ailing economy at that particular point in time. This same Ken Ofori-Atta managed the economy and grew the economy to 7.17%.
But we owe so much, over 450 billion.
And we have so much
infrastructure. Should that not be a worry? Infrastructure
development, roads, railways, hospitals.
Railways?
Yes.
that are
Then
still
Pacadams.
in...
But they are in the
They're
process.
under construction.
They are in the process.
In Pakadam.
Yeah, but until
But
we
they are
start...
in process.
No, but
In
Haruna,
Pakadam.
They are in process.
until we start using a lot of these...
But until you also
These
start
facilities-
constructing them, you can't complete. You have to start.
But you cannot say that we
This
have
same
built
finance
this when we
minister,
are still in the
Bella, has
process.
performed his duties. And they know.
Ghanaians
and
are saying that
Ghanaians-
we can't see it.
It's the same finance minister
We
that
are
made sure
bleeding.
that
Our
even
pockets
during
are empty.
crisis...
They have large holes in them.
even
Look at
even-
inflation at the moment. And you say
even-
the finance minister has performed?
Under the NDC, he knows. When who was the governor of the Bank of Ghana? Was it before we had about inflation hovering around 48%?
Is it not unfair to Ghanaians that she
Ghanaians
promised
believe-
them? Ghanaians said they did not, or they were not happy with the management of the economy by the NDC, which is why they gave you the mandate
And when
to come
we
and
took over,
fix things.
when we took over, we brought down the inflation when there was no crisis. We stayed in 7%, one single digit, for a full year, cross over to the crisis until where we are today. So we know Ghanaians believe in the confidence of the MPP in terms of managing the economy well.
You're saying this
yes,
based
we
on
don't
what?
say that we have brought heaven to the people of
You're
Ghana.
you're saying that
but
based
Have
we
you been
on...
reading the Afro Barometer?
are-
Lawyer, please hold on.
But,
You're
lawyer,
saying this based
lawyer,
on what?
Haruna.
Lawyer, based on the past records of the MPP, the past records from 2017, 2018, 2019.
Any hungry person in Ghana today, do you think that they'll be concerned
Bella,
about the
why
past
not
record?
the angry person will look at when he was not able to get food on the table and somebody that has managed the economy well until a crisis. Let's understand, Bella, you know we are all in crisis. And the crisis that has come to us, this same finance minister and this government has managed this economy to a stage that we need the support of everybody. And we are very confident that we will take the people of
Your own
Ghana
people,
out of this.
your own members are saying they don't even want the finance minister.
Because
They're going to boycott Parliament
Because
if he
we,
should come
we
and
believe
lead.
in free speech. We believe in competition. That is the belief of the MPP. And we will not gag against them. They have the right to their own opinions. And that is what we have to take. What lawyer forgets is that at the time that he was at Data Bank, he was not the decision taker. And he has also forgotten that at the time that he's now a finance minister, he's not a director at the Data
But
Bank.
he's a
No, he's a shareholder.
Is he a shareholder?
The point is that he's not the director.
But he's
He
a
was a
shareholder.
director,
But
but he
he's a
couldn't take decision
shareholder.
because
But
not
is
a
he
finance
a
minister.
shareholder?
But I'm telling you that
Is he a
if it is
shareholder?
wrong, Dufour was a shareholder.
Is he, sorry.
True or
sorry,
false?
Hold on.
Equalization.
No, it's not equalization. It is
Doesn't
true.
do justice
Hold
to
on.
the
But
issue.
just tell
are
the
you-
people of Ghana
is
that.
that-
How
is
are
that
you-
why-
they
is
said
that
you are
why
a
the-
thief.
hold
Then
on,
you say,
lawyer.
I'm
Is
not
that why
only the
the
thief.
NPP
Another
may
person
think
is
that
okay.
it's okay?
Fine. He's a
What kind
lawyer.
of defense?
Hold on,
He's a
hold on,
lawyer.
hold on.
I am
Let me
not
ask
here
my
to ask
question.
questions.
No, I'm here to
Yeah,
ask
you are
questions.
here to
Are
ask
you
questions.
saying then
I
that
want to pass my
just
question.
because the NDC may have committed this, crime or whatever it is,
That is what I want
then
to
it's
establish.
okay for the MPP to also
Bella,
continue to
Bella,
make
can-
these same mistakes against the Constitution?
Can we
Are
find
you
out-
justifying that?
Can we find out if that having shares in a company and being a finance minister is a crime? If it is
not.
If it is raised in any provisions of our land, let lawyer tell us.
Let Bernard Moda come in and we'll pull up that law that talks about conflicts of interest and
Bernard.
why I'm quite surprised.
If
that
you
you're
have
raising this.
shares.
But Bernard, hold on.
Harun.
Bella, I am sitting here freezed
You're frozen. Why?
because we say
You should not be able to raise your hand if you're frozen.
we say my brother is a thief. Then my brother said, "Oh, you are just realizing I'm a thief. Somebody stole before me." That is what he is.
This logic, eh?
I didn't hear.
I say you are a thief. You are a thief. Then when we say, "Oh, this man is a thief," then you say, "No, I'm not the only thief. Somebody stole before me." And therefore, why are you saying that I am
No,
a thief?
Bella, you see, this
Can I-
case I am saying is
can
not.
I-
It's not to
Can
collaborate
I-
that. I am
can
asking.
I-
No,
Bella,
I just want to. I just want to because I can't ask you a
He
question.
says he was asking.
I was asking.
He wasn't saying.
If there is any provision in our laws that says that once you have resigned as a director and you remain as a shareholder by the premise he's saying, whether it is an illegality and what is the position of the law.
Okay.
You are saying that Ken Ofori-Atta, whether he has shares or he's a director of Data Bank, why are we concerned about it? Because a former governor and former minister, Dr. Dufour, was also in charge of Unibank and he was also minister, and the bank profited from it. Is that not what he said here? So it is like we have caught you as a thief today, and you are telling us that no, they were thieves before you.
If you say this before a judge,
I mean,
we'll give you
how is this a defense that we are putting here? What are the indicators of a good economy? If you have to look at it from where I even disagree, if you are talking about the indicators of a good economy, you will be talking about the inflation, you'll be talking about the GDP, you'll be talking about the exchange rates, and you'll be talking about cost of living. Right? What is the cost of living in Ghana today? Bella, your minimum wage is 13.53 as of now.
Will increase to 14.88 by January.
To be increased to 14.88.
And the dollar
by
is how
January.
much?
As we speak, a loaf of bread is 18 Ghana cedis.
25 in some places.
Yo, I didn't add that one.
Yeah.
So if a loaf of bread is higher than your minimum wage, and you take one bread a day, I'm not talking about the milk you add, the sugar and other things, and the water.
There's some bread. There's a bread
wage?
when I'm
Minimum
going.
wage, yes.
There's a bread when I'm
Minimum
going to
wage,
Volta.
yes,
They call it
minimum
hot oven.
They are saying
It's even more than minimum wage.
It's not the maximum wage.
No, but
It's a
minimum wage.
minimum
It's
wage.
still
Have
a
you
worry
seen companies
because
give a maximum?
because that
It's
means
not
that.
everybody that takes bread. Some people take pushy and some other
But
people
Kose now is 2 cities.
Not here. Where I'm coming from, Tamale, I can buy.
You are in
But
Tamale.
that's Tamale.
You
What
are in
if I
Tamale.
live? What if I
You
live
don't
in the
even come from
Ashanti
Tamale. You
region?
come from Saboba.
Zabzugu. I come from Zabzugu.
You come from Zabzugu.
Kose is 50 pesos. So it's not
It's still
everybody.
50
So
pesos at
that's
the
why
moment.
minimum wage, all of us
Can
will
I?
take minimum.
Can I?
But there are people who take
Bella,
minimum wage.
can you tell
Okay,
the young
please
man?
carry
Your a loaf of bread is higher than your minimum wage. Oh. We sit here today. When Ken Ofori-Atta took over, a gallon of petrol was just 14 Ghana cedis. Today is almost 100 Ghana cedis, a gallon of petrol. And you tell me that I have improved? When the incomes that the people receive is being consumed by the expenditures daily. We sit here, and as for the depreciation of the currency, go to the markets. And the people who deal with currency will tell you what they are going through. We sit here, and because there is food crisis, a whole ministry has decided that now they will come and use the Ministry of Agri instead of doing policy to turn into a market.
They have moved it to the Makola market now.
Yeah, that to turn the whole ministry into a market. Instead of doing policy, they are doing market. Then they should use the ministry to produce the food itself. That is the extent to which this economy has been ravaged. But Harun, the farmer that you are, when you plant, you weed through, you do other things before you go and harvest. What did Ken Ofori-Atta plant that led to the reaping that he got in 2017?
Is there any established repeat?
Yes, because you are saying that Ken Ofori-Atta came in 2017 and that the economy was booming.
By that time, the IMF and the World Bank had already made projection that
allow
the
him.
investment by
This is my lawyer.
I need to give him some legal
This is my lawyer who wants to
Please
take
allow
over
him.
from me. This is my
He
lawyer
said he's
who
not
wants-
paying you to.
pro bono.
He's behaving like an Ofori-Atta.
No, but he says that economy that was
conflicted.
booming, that couldn't pay necessary allowances.
Can I?
Stop these jokes.
When I'm
Please allow, can we allow Bernard?
when
We
I'm
don't have
making the
time.
point, just
I
take
have to
your
be
time.
wrapping up in the
You know, I
next
should be
couple
having
of
time more
minutes.
than them because they are coming for attack. I have two things to do. One, to respond, and two, to project.
Oh, you have managed it.
Yeah, they
I
should
think you
give
have
me
done
more
that.
Except
time.
that you have
And then you even said I'll be
except that
going
you
to
don't
vote.
much.
You know, you gave him a
You
lot
added me to the attack and the projections. Bernard, please carry on.
So, Ken Ofori-Atta inherited. Let me give you an example. We had serious energy crisis in this country. At one point in time under President Kufuor, we even brought international evangelists because our local evangelists were not spiritually powerful to go and stand at Kosombo Dam and raise their hands so they can pray for divinity, for God to ensure that there is sufficient
even the Galamsey
prayer
side,
works, by the way.
Even the Galamsey side, some are there now praying.
Okay.
Lawyer,
he says he doesn't need your counsel anymore. Please carry on, Ben.
We brought them to come and pray because we had energy crisis. Prayer doesn't solve the problem. The energy crisis hit us hard. We did Doomsaw Vigil in this country.
And the NDC, okay.
We did Doomsaw Vigil. And we said Doomsaw must stop. Dr. Kwabena Donko.
Dufour.
Donko.
Kwabena the finance. Okay.
Kwabena Donko, he was Minister for Power.
Oh, Power, okay.
He gave us an assurance that he will fix the challenge.
And if he doesn't fix?
And he was...
These people, I don't understand.
If he doesn't fix, he will resign.
And then when he was able to augment generation, and the testing was still going on, and we are still crying of Doomsaw, the man resigned.
It means he did not solve what he wanted to solve.
By the close of the year, Doomsaw was fixed. Industries that were producing less than optimum capacity were now assured that they will produce at full capacity. What do you think will happen to the economy? There will be a boom. So you came and inherited a boom. And you call that your success. So Ken Ofori-Atta, in actual fact, the policies Ken Ofori-Atta implemented are the reason for which we are in this economic decay. The policies that he inherited were the reason for which he inherited the economic boom. So if you are looking at a colossal mess in this economy, and you take away Ken Ofori-Atta, probably, we should just say that Akufo-Addo does not have standards. Because if Akufo-Addo has standards, looking at all the indicators, Ken Ofori-Atta...
No, he says he had done excellently.
Hold on, lawyer, please.
Look, if Akufo-Addo has standards, President Akufo-Addo has standards, by every stretch of imagination, Ken Ofori-Atta is a monumental failure.
He said that his ministers have been outstanding. No need for reshuffle. And again, we should keep
Bella,
the finance minister.
and that is why I admire you and your position this morning. When Haruna said, Bella, you walk happily to go and vote, and you chuckled and said,
yeah, today for the first time.
He said, Bella said now.
Hold on.
He said now.
She said
now.
What I'm saying is that
it can change.
No. What
Bella,
was so instructive? Your body language.
No,
so,
Bella, if you want, just play the review.
No, so don't add me to
watch that video.
And the shock of it.
Bella said,
I would have reacted the same way.
No,
Bella,
I would have reacted the same way.
Bella, can I make
is
this?
profound.
Bella, to the extent that you did not only show the body language, but
you resisted
and
it.
then you said that even your economic circumstances.
now. He said now.
Why are you
interjecting
me?
I just want the now to be there. He
Why are
said
you
now.
interjecting me?
She said now.
You know, today, I think all of you will join me. You know, today happens to be the birthday of Professor Jenana.
Oh, okay. Happy birthday.
Oh,
Prof.
fantastic.
Yes.
She was my professor at the
Okay.
University of Cape Coast.
Oh, you went to the
Yeah.
constant confusion.
Happy birthday to you, Prof. And let me just read this quickly
Yeah,
before we
she
wrap up.
signed my
So
first.
Article
my
284
first degree.
of the
She is
92
a brilliant
Constitution
woman.
says
Constant
that
confusion.
a public
so you
officer...
appointed
Are
a
you
constant
listening, Haruna?
confused
This is
person.
for you, Haruna.
first degree.
So Article 284 of the Constitution, 92 Constitution, a public officer shall not put himself or herself in a position where his or her personal interest conflicts or is likely to conflict with the performance of the functions of the office. So there was a question you were asking about whether there's anything... Yes. If he's still a shareholder, does it not also conflict with his performance? On that note, we'll wrap up here.
The shareholders appointed directors.
To Haruna. Hold on. So Haruna Mohammed is the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. Bernard Mona, former chairman, People's National Convention. And lawyer Godwin Edudi Tamaklo is a member of the legal team for the NDC. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me. We'll be back with more. Keep watching.